Friends, welcome back to another fascinating episode. Hi, I'm Stephen Hawking, a physicist, a cosmologist, and in many ways a dreamer. I can't move, and I speak through a computer, but my mind is free to explore the biggest questions of the universe. And perhaps the biggest of them all, is there a God? Who created the universe? From the stars and planets to you and me, and who controls it all? To find out, we're going on a journey through the laws of nature. Because I believe the answer to this ancient question lies right there. How did the universe form? How does it actually work? Recently, I published a book that asks a bold question. Did God create the universe? It sparked controversy. Some people were angry. They said a scientist shouldn't get tangled up in matters of religion. But I don't want to tell anyone what to believe. In my view, science has every right to ask, does God exist? After all, who created the universe? Who controls it? Maybe instead of seeking divine control, we should look deeper into the mystery itself, the one hidden in the laws of physics. In ancient times, the answer to every question was the same. God created everything. The world was a frightening place. Even powerful people like the Vikings couldn't understand natural forces, lightning, storms, so they believed in supernatural powers. The Vikings had many gods. Thor was the god of lightning. Another god ruled the seas and created storms. But the one they feared most was Shul, the wolf god of the sky. He was believed to devour the sun, bringing the terrifying darkness of an eclipse. Imagine witnessing the sun vanish from the sky with no scientific explanation. How terrifying would that be? The Vikings did what they thought was right. They tried to scare the wolf away. They screamed and shouted, believing their cries would bring the sun back. And indeed, the sun did return, though not because of their screams. Today, we know the universe isn't ruled by fear or supernatural forces. It's governed by laws that even ordinary people like you and me can understand. This idea goes back much further than the Vikings, all the way to ancient Greece. Around 300 BC, a philosopher named Aristarchus began studying eclipses, especially lunar eclipses. He had the courage to ask, were these really the acts of gods? Aristarchus was a true scientific thinker. He carefully observed the skies, studied their patterns, and reached a groundbreaking conclusion. Eclipses weren't supernatural events at all. They were simply the Earth's shadow passing over the moon. This discovery shattered old beliefs and helped him understand the celestial movements of the sun, earth, and moon. He even created maps showing their real relationships, and from there reached an astonishing conclusion. The Earth was not the center of the universe as everyone believed. Instead, the Earth revolved around the sun. By understanding this arrangement, he explained what caused eclipses. When the moon's shadow falls on Earth, we see a solar eclipse. When the Earth's shadow falls on the moon, we see a lunar eclipse. But Aristarchus didn't stop there. He claimed the stars weren't tiny holes in the heavens, as his contemporaries thought, but other suns, far away in the vastness of space. What a mind-blowing idea that must have been. The universe, he suggested, was a grand machine governed by principles, laws that the human mind could comprehend. I believe the discovery of those laws is humanity's greatest achievement. We now call them the laws of nature, and through them, we can ask a bold question. Do we really need a God to explain the universe, or can the laws themselves be enough? For centuries, people believed that disabilities like mine were punishments from God. Maybe they said we had angered some higher power. But I like to think differently. I believe that everything, even the challenges we face, can be understood through the laws of nature. So, what exactly are these laws? And why do they hold such power? Let me explain it with something simple. A game of tennis. Tennis is played by two kinds of rules. First, there are man-made rules, like the size of the court, the height of the net, and what counts as in or out. If needed, these rules can be changed by the people who govern the game. But there's another kind of rule, the natural laws that no one can change. When we talk about the rules of tennis, we know they decide what happens when the racket hits the ball. The strength of the swing, the angle, the spin, all these determine where the ball goes next. But there's something deeper behind that simple motion, the laws of nature. They decide in the past, the present, and the future exactly how everything happens. In tennis, the ball always follows a predictable path. But behind that path, many unseen rules are at work. How the player's muscles create power, how the ball moves across the grass beneath his feet, how fast it travels through the air. Everything is governed by these same laws. And the most important thing about these physical laws is this. They can't be changed. They apply everywhere, from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy. They don't just decide how a tennis ball moves, they also control the motion of planets and every other object in the universe. Unlike man-made rules, the laws of nature can never be broken. That's why they're so powerful. And also, why they've been controversial from a religious point of view. Because if you accept, as I do, that the laws of nature cannot be changed, then the question naturally follows, what role does God play in all this? That's where the great conflict between science and religion began. And though my own views have been in the news recently, this debate is actually very old. Back in 1277, Pope John XXI felt so threatened by the idea of natural laws that he declared it sinful even to raise the question. Unfortunately for him, the law of gravity didn't care about papal decrees. A few months later, the roof of his palace collapsed, right onto his head. But organized religion quickly found a workaround. For the next few centuries, it was simply said that the laws of nature were made by God, and he could break them whenever he wished. That belief was strengthened by another comforting idea, that our blue planet was the center of creation, and all the stars and planets revolved around Earth like perfect clockwork, designed with divine precision. Aristarchus's old theory that the Earth moved around the sun had been long forgotten, but humans are curious by nature, and some minds like Galileo Galilei's refused to stop questioning. In 1609, Galileo began to test what many called the clockwork of God, and what he found would change everything. Galileo is often called the father of modern science, and he's one of my heroes. Like me, he believed that by looking closely at the universe, we could uncover what was really happening. He was so determined that, for the first time, he built a telescope capable of magnifying the night sky 20 times. From his home in Padua, he aimed that telescope at Jupiter night after night and made a remarkable discovery. Near the giant planet, he noticed 3 tiny dots. At first, he thought they were faint stars. But after a few nights, he realized their positions had changed. And soon, a 4th dot appeared. Sometimes one of them would disappear behind Jupiter, then reappear again later. Galileo realized what he was seeing. These were moons orbiting Jupiter. It was undeniable proof that not everything in the heavens revolved around the Earth. Inspired by this, Galileo later proved that the Earth itself revolved around the sun. Aristarchus, hundreds of years earlier, had been absolutely right. Galileo's discoveries triggered a revolution, one that would gradually loosen religion's grip over science. But in the 17th century, such ideas made the Church furious. Galileo was condemned for his so-called heresy and sentenced to death. He barely escaped execution, spending the last 9 years of his life under house arrest. It's said that even while confessing his sins, he quietly muttered the words, "But still, it moves." Over the next 3 centuries, more laws of nature unfolded, explaining lightning, earthquakes, storms, and even the shining of the stars. With every new discovery, the need for a god to explain these mysteries grew smaller. If you understand the science of eclipses, you no longer need to fear wolf gods devouring the sun. Science doesn't deny religion, it simply offers simpler, clearer explanations. Yet many mysteries remain. If the earth spins, is it God who turns it? And the biggest question of all, was the universe created by God? In 1985, I attended a cosmology conference at the Vatican in Rome. Pope John Paul II addressed us scientists directly. He said it was fine to study how the universe works, but we should not question how it began, because, as he said, that was the work of God. I'm happy to say I didn't take his advice. Curiosity is something I could never suppress. I believe it's the duty of a cosmologist to ask where the universe came from, and luckily that question isn't as hard as it sounds. Despite its complexity and diversity, the universe can actually be built from just 3 basic ingredients. Imagine if we could write them into a kind of cosmic cookbook. So what 3 ingredients would we need to create a universe? First, matter. That means anything that has mass. Matter is everywhere, beneath our feet, floating in space, in dust, rocks, ice, liquid, gases, and enormous clouds of stardust. It forms galaxies made of billions of suns, stretching across unimaginable distances. The second ingredient, energy. Even if we don't often think about it, we all know what energy is. We feel it every day, when we look up at the sun and feel its warmth touch our face. The energy that warms our faces from the sun was born from a star nearly 93 million miles away. That's energy, constantly spreading across the universe, driving everything that moves and lives. It keeps the cosmos active, dynamic, and alive. So now, we have matter and we have energy. But there's one more thing we need to build a universe: space itself. You can call the universe spectacular, beautiful, violent, mysterious, anything you like. But one thing you can't call it is crowded. Everywhere we look, in every direction, there's just more space. An ocean of emptiness so vast it's enough to make your head spin. But where did all this matter, energy, and space come from? For a long time, well into the 20th century, we had no real idea. Then came a man whose mind would forever change our understanding of reality. Perhaps the greatest scientist ever born, Albert Einstein. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to meet him. He passed away when I was only 13 years old. Einstein revealed something astonishing, that two of the universe's essential ingredients, mass and energy, are actually the same thing, two sides of the same coin. His famous equation, E=mc2, showed that mass is simply another form of energy, and vice versa, which means that in truth, the universe is made of just two things: energy and space. So, where did all this energy and all this space come from? The answer took decades of research, but eventually scientists found it. Both space and energy were created in an instant, by a single event we now call the Big Bang. At that moment, an entire universe filled with energy burst into existence, and with it, space itself began to expand, like air inflating a balloon. But that brings us to the next great question. Where did that energy and space come from? How could an entire universe filled with unimaginable energy and vastness appear out of nothing? Some people believe this is where God enters the picture, that God created energy and space, and the Big Bang was the divine moment of creation. But science tells a different story. And though saying this may put me at odds with some, I believe that our understanding of the universe, through Einstein's discovery of the deep link between matter and energy, can go even further. By following the laws of nature, we can begin to understand the origin of the universe itself, without needing to invoke any supernatural explanation. After World War II, I grew up in England in times that were not easy. We were taught that nothing in life comes for free. But looking back now, I realized something extraordinary. You can get the entire universe for free. The mystery of the Big Bang, the foundation of everything, reveals how a vast cosmos filled with matter and energy could come into being from nothing. The secret lies in one of the strangest facts about our universe. According to the laws of physics, negative energy also exists. Let me give you a simple way to understand this bizarre but crucial idea. Imagine you want to build a mountain on flat ground. You dig into the earth and use that soil to pile up your mountain. But in doing so, you're not just creating a mountain, you're also creating a hole. That hole is the negative version of your mountain. The positive and negative perfectly balance each other out. That's exactly what happened at the beginning of the universe. When the Big Bang created all the positive energy we see, it also created an equal amount of negative energy. So the total sum of positive and negative energy is always zero. That's another unbreakable law of nature. But where is that negative energy today? The answer lies in the third ingredient of our cosmic recipe: space itself. It may sound strange, but according to the oldest scientific laws, those of gravity and motion, space is filled with a vast reservoir of negative energy. It's so immense that it ensures the total energy of the universe always balances out to nothing. If you're not a fan of math, that might sound impossible. But it's true. All across the endless web of billions of galaxies, gravity pulls everything toward everything else. It acts like a massive storage system, a cosmic battery holding the universe's negative energy. The matter and energy we see, the stars, the planets, everything solid and bright, are like the mountains. The negative energy, the holes that balance them, are spread invisibly throughout space. So what does this mean for our quest to understand whether a God is required? It means that if the total energy of the universe adds up to zero, then the universe could create itself, without the need for a divine creator. In other words, the universe really is something that can come from nothing. And that, I think, is the most beautiful kind of free gift imaginable. Now we know the sum of positive and negative energy in the universe equals zero. The next question is, what started the process? How did the universe arise spontaneously? At first, that seems like a huge problem. After all, nothing just happens in our daily lives. You don't get a cup of coffee out of thin air, right? You need coffee beans, water, milk, sugar, something to start with. But if you go deeper, beneath the milk, beneath the atoms, down to the subatomic level, you'll enter a world where things can appear from nothing. A world where creation doesn't always need a source. It might be, at least for some time. You see, on this scale, particles like protons follow the laws of nature we call quantum mechanics. And according to those laws, they can appear spontaneously, out of nowhere. Stay for a moment, then vanish, and reappear somewhere else. We know that in the past, the universe itself was incredibly small, actually smaller than a proton. And that simple fact means something astonishing. It means the universe, with all its immense vastness and complexity, could have come into existence without breaking any laws of nature. From that first moment, as space expanded, a tremendous amount of energy was released. But to keep balance, there also had to be a place to store the negative energy. That leads to another important question. Did God create those quantum laws? Did God cause the Big Bang? The real question is, do we even need God for the Big Bang to happen at all? Now, I don't mean to hurt anyone's faith, not at all. But I believe science offers a better explanation for existence than a supernatural creator does. This explanation is a fascinating part of the principle of cause and effect, the very thing that makes events possible. Our everyday experience tells us that whatever happens because of something else that came before it. So it's natural to assume the universe must have been created by something. Maybe by God. But when we're talking about the entire universe, everything that exists, that assumption might not be necessary. Let me explain. Imagine a river flowing down a hill. Where did that river come from? Maybe rain. Rain that fell earlier on the mountains. Okay, but where did the rain come from? The answer's simple. The sun. The sun heats up the ocean water, turning it into vapor. That vapor rises, cools, forms clouds, and then rain. Fine. But why does the sun shine? Because of a process where hydrogen atoms fuse together to form helium, something we call nuclear fusion. That fusion releases enormous amounts of energy. So far, so good. But now we ask, where did the hydrogen come from? And the answer takes us all the way back to the Big Bang. And here's the really important part. The laws of nature tell us that not only could the universe have come into existence like a proton, tiny and energetic, but it didn't need any energy to appear. In fact, it's possible the Big Bang happened for no reason at all. No cause, no trigger, just happened. This idea comes from Einstein's principles and the deep connection between space and time. Because at the moment of the Big Bang, something truly extraordinary occurred. Time itself began. To grasp that, imagine a black hole drifting through space. A black hole is a star so massive that it collapses under its own gravity. Its pull is so intense that even light can't escape it. That's why it's completely black. Its gravitational field is so strong that it can even bend and distort time. Picture a clock being pulled toward that black hole. The closer it gets, the slower the clock ticks. Time itself starts to slow down. Now imagine that clock crossing into the black hole. Even if it somehow survived the immense gravity, the clock would stop completely, not because it's broken, but because time itself doesn't exist inside a black hole. And that's exactly what must have happened at the beginning of the universe. At the birth of the universe, time played a role that completely removes the need for a grand designer. It's the final piece in understanding how the universe could have created itself. As we go back further and further in time, we see the universe shrinking, smaller and smaller, until we reach a point where all of existence was compressed into an incredibly tiny, dense state. A singularity, like a microscopic black hole. And just like the black holes we observe today, the laws of nature tell us something amazing. Time itself stops there. You can't go back before the Big Bang because there was no before. No time existed. And if there was no time, there could be no cause, no creator, because creation itself requires time to exist. That means there's simply no room, no moment for a creator to operate. Time began with the Big Bang, so it wasn't an event caused by any force or being. It was an event that created everything, including time. We don't need superstition. We don't need to fear gods, because the universe works beautifully, all on its own. In space, clouds of gas come together to form massive spheres. Those spheres ignite, burning so brightly that their light travels across the cosmos, forming the grand and beautiful galaxies that spin like wheels in the dark. All of this happens automatically, governed by rules we can understand, observe, and measure. We've learned how the laws of nature, acting on matter and energy, started a process that led eventually to life, to us here on Earth. And that understanding alone is something to celebrate. So when people ask me, did God create the universe? I tell them, that question doesn't really make sense. Before the Big Bang, there was no time. And if there was no time, then God had no time to create anything. It's like asking for directions to the end of the Earth. The Earth is a sphere. It has no end. Looking for one is meaningless. Each of us is free to believe whatever we choose. But to me, the simplest truth is this. There is no God. No one created the universe. No one decides our fate. And to me, that's an incredible thought. Because if there's no heaven and no afterlife, then this one life, this one chance to experience the wonders of our universe is everything. And I am deeply grateful for that.